Okay, I think we'll make a start. Thank you very much for coming along, really appreciate it. What a fabulous place this is, yeah? I think today you're probably going to see quite a few presentations with photos of older folk, and I've chosen someone that could potentially be a client for you. But I want to use this picture, which you may have seen, as an example of great marketing that people are already using. So we've got a choice today, which I'm going to throw out to you. We can either spend the next half an hour with some theoretical fluff around marketing and lead generation, or we can go straight to the good stuff with stuff that actually works. So hands up for the fluff, hands up for the good stuff. Well, I think that's what we'll do. Okay, excellent. So I just keeping it topical. Many of you will have seen this during the Jubilee celebrations, which was absolutely, and what a fantastic bit of television that was at the time. A lot of marketers have been really quick to jump on top of this, particularly the music industry. The band Slade from the 70s have got a new album coming out in a few weeks' time. So they're really quick to jump on top of this as well. Status Quo as well, those of you who don't know Slade or Status Quo, if you're working in the later life market, you need to know those bands, okay? Because those people, the people who really are fans of Slade and Status Quo, they are prime right in the middle of your market right now. And White Snake as well, they're on a world tour at the moment. So marketing can be fun, it can be creative as well. But what I really want to do is just first of all give us a bit of background as to what's going on, and then some stuff that you can really do. Now, there are people who will have you believe that this is what you should be doing as financial advisors to get and reach out there. You should be posting content everywhere all of the time. And that's just nonsense. Don't let anyone tell you that's what you need to be doing. Some of it, yes, but what we really need to do is to get a lot more focus into this so that we can really focus on what actually works for you so that you can reach the clients that you actually want to work with. I don't know, any of you on LinkedIn, just out of interest? Okay, now put your hands up if you know why you're on LinkedIn. Interesting. If you're on LinkedIn, you may get approached at some point by people that say, give us £1,000 a month and we will reach out to all the clients that you'll ever want. I mean, once you really get to know LinkedIn and some of its techniques behind it, you will discover that you don't need to do any reaching out at all. If you position yourself correctly, aimed at your ideal client, they will find you, they will come to you. And that's the power of knowing how this stuff works. So the idea that we should be doing everything, everywhere, all the time, absolute nonsense. So let's just go back in time a little and have a look at what used to work back when I first started in financial services in 1978. And this was the stuff that financial advisors were doing at the time. Lots of networking, lots of seminars, lots of client events. And you'll notice that it's all quite proactive. Whereas if we look at what's going on today, social media and the internet has made us very, very lazy. There is this kind of perception, okay, if I have a profile or if I'm on Google, all I do is got to sit tight. To some extent that does work, but we've lost the proactivity side. There's still a bit of proactivity going on. We're starting to see people go back to networking events now that we're kind of through COVID. We're starting to see financial advisors putting on seminars. If ever there was a topic that will attract people to financial advisors, seminars and events, it's the later life market. It's just made for it. And let me tell you this, the most successful financial advisors around the world, right at the top of the tree, the most successful, all have one thing in common, and that is they use seminars and events as part of their marketing and activity. And I know that's easy for me to say, and some of you saying, oh, I get that, Phil, but how do we get bums on seats? Well, it's just a process. If you're interested in that process, just drop me a line, send me a business card. But these are the kind of things that we're doing today. Now, there is actually some research on this. There's a guy similar to myself out in the United States, Michael Kitz's, and I've done the research as well, and you can break down the different and most effective types of marketing into two different areas. So the top strategies for top performing advisors, and this is predominantly in the United States and in the UK, tend to be the things on the left. So we've still got referrals and introductions right at the top of the tree. But if you had enough referrals and introductions coming in all of the time, then we wouldn't do any of the other stuff. It is possible to run a perfectly viable financial advice business purely on referrals and introductions, but there's a right way to make that actually happen. Writing books is quite a big thing, particularly in the United States. We're starting to see more and more advisors in the UK writing books as well. Again, it's just a process. You can write a business-related book, just follow the process. But again, the later life market just made for people who want to write books. Seminars, web listings, introducers, LinkedIn, search engine optimization, and funnel website with lead magnets. That's where you get a website where your dream client arrives on your website and they're presented with the opportunity to give us your email address, download our free guide, download our ebook, download our whatever it is, at piece of value. And that makes it much more likely that they will stay longer on your website and investigate a bit more. One of my little hobby horses is, you look at the vast majority of financial advisors' websites in the UK, they all say the same thing. I can do a party piece at conferences where I can write the About Us page for any financial advisor in the UK without having met them, because they all say the same thing. They all look really nice, but at the end of the day, they're glorified brochures. What we really need to do is to engage people so they want to hang around and go, yeah, I want to work with you. And I'll give you a couple of tips for doing that a little bit later on. Lower risk strategies for perhaps new advisors or those needing a little bit of help are these sort of things. So we're still seeing referrals and introductions high up the list, joint ventures, working with introducers, good old-fashioned local advertising. One of the things about the internet is this kind of promise that we could do business with anybody, anywhere. My experience with financial advisors is actually most of us would rather work with local people or people at least within shouting distance. We just got to make sure that the local people find us. So a combination of some of these things, particularly just local simple advertising, old school non-digital stuff, and I'll give you some examples of that a little bit later. If I go back to the 70s and the 80s, all that marketing that financial advisors did was, we could class that as old school. And since the internet's come along, we think, oh no, we ought to be a bit more digitech, a bit more tech-minded. We forget all that old-fashioned stuff that worked. It still works today, and we'll talk about one or two of those things as well. Now, I just want to put my highlighter over one or two things, and the first of the 6 things I want to talk about is educational assets. Consumers need education, and particularly in the later life market. Well, you could argue that right across the piece in all types of personal finance. But given what we heard a little bit earlier about vulnerabilities, people take longer to process information, stuff that we can produce ourselves. I mean, think of the broad depth of expertise in this room. It's quite interesting. You know, almost all financial advice is done kind of between consenting adults, either in your office or in their home or whatever. Yet, financial information can be given to people in a whole variety of different ways. Books, blogs, podcasts, articles, video, a whole variety of different ways of doing it. Educational assets are really, really powerful. So I just want to give you an example of an educational asset. Now, a few years ago, I won the World Cocktail Making Championships for the gin and tonic category, because I was taught how to make the perfect gin and tonic by a gentleman by the name of John Tanqueray, great grandson of Charles. Now we see the gin drinkers nodding their heads in the room here. Great grandson. He taught me how to make the perfect gin and tonic the way it was designed to be made. I thought I'll enter a competition, and the World Cocktail Making Championships were in the UK quite a few years ago now. Cocktail makers, barmen and women from all around the world descended on London, and I entered the gin and tonic category and I won it. For a year I was the best gin and tonic maker in the world. And I can see one or two of you thinking, can we talk about gin and tonic now instead of marketing? Maybe later. However, when my father died, my mum discovered in my dad's bedside drawer a little book with a little leather cover produced by Tanqueray Gordons. And as you can see, it's a tiny little thing. And the long and short of it was, this is a freebie that they used to give out. And it was designed to A, add value to existing gin drinkers, and B, to attract more people to buy gin and enjoy gin. And basically the little book is really old fashioned, and it's just full of cocktails. Some of them are pretty nasty, let me tell you that right now. But it was a fabulous piece. It's 100 years old. I found out from the Gordons archivists. But it's a lovely little thing. Now that is an educational asset that's used to add value to existing clients and to attract new customers as well. And every financial advisor in the land could come up with something, a little tips booklet, a little guide, something to educate people. You could give it away to people, you can sell it to people as well. Other educational assets, seminars of course is the best way of educating people. Writing books, podcasts are amazing. Any of you here got your own podcast, just out of interest? We're starting to see more and more. Now, there's a guy called Pete Matthew down in Cornwall of Jackson's Financial Planning, and he started doing his own podcast 10 years ago. I said to him, he said, I really think a personal finance podcast will be the way to go. And I was the first person to say to him, I really don't think so. I don't think personal finance is going to really light up people's lives when it comes to podcasts. How wrong I was. He's had millions and millions and millions of downloads to his podcast, and he says to me, Phil, my perfect dream clients phone me up and say, Pete, I heard your podcast, how can we work together? He can now pick and choose who he wants to work with by educating people. It's not financial advice, it's just education. Articles and blogs and good old-fashioned video. So those are kind of examples of educational assets, but they are really powerful, and I think they are much needed in this space, to be quite honest. This one, when I was kind of looking at all the numbers, the pandemic really threw into sharp focus the importance of our faces. How many people said they missed meeting clients face to face in this dreaded Zoom thing? You know, we all kind of got used to Zoom, but I think for most people, they know the power of the face, meeting people face to face. So we don't do much as a profession to get our faces across. We tend to, obviously, I don't mean hide, but we tend to hide behind our brand, our logo, what we represent. When in actual fact, something my dad said to me many, many years ago, people buy people. Always have done and always will do, regardless of where technology takes us. We may buy into AI people, artificial intelligence people, at some stage in the future. Now, some faces are better than others. And some fascinating stats I discovered about Ronaldo. He has more Instagram followers than the entire Premier League clubs combined. That was when I put that slide together, and I discovered a couple of days ago it's even bigger now. Quite an attractive face, admittedly, but the power of the face is really important. So what could you do with your face? Well, human beings are just hardwired to search for faces in crowds. Anyway, we love to see human faces. We even see faces in places where there really aren't faces. If something looks like a face, our brain will interpret it as a face as well. We even look for animals in clouds, animals' faces as well. So I want to think about this kind of thing. In your email signature, put a picture of you under your name rather than your logo, or as well as your logo, yeah? Put your picture on your business cards, now that we're using kind of business cards again as well. If you're on LinkedIn, make sure that you've got a friendly and professional photo on there. Look for opportunities to put pictures of you out there. Okay, you don't need to look like Ronaldo, you don't need to look like Brad Pitt, you don't need to look like Angelina Jolie, you just need to be you. Because human beings are hardwired to hook into that. And you know, you've got to say, you know, which is more attractive, the pictures of the people or the logo? You decide. So use your face a bit more in your marketing. Okay, how about old school marketing? What do I mean by old school marketing? This is what I mean by old school marketing. Keith Churchhouse, Chapters Financial Planning in Guildford, he's been sponsoring roundabouts for donkey's years. He says it's the best, cheapest marketing I've ever done. This is near our local Sainsbury's, just off the A3, and I went past it the other day. I thought, I'll park up it in Sainsbury's. I took the trouble to come out and take photographs of his roundabout. And this gets something like 84,000 vehicles a week go past his roundabout as people come into Guildford to come to work, and then they leave again every day. It's just a no-brainer, this old school stuff. It still works, and it's ridiculously cheap. Another financial advisor in Cornwall I know, I said to me, where do your ideal clients hang out in Cornwall? And he said, our local bowls club. I said, so what are you doing about that? And he said, that's why I'm sponsoring the local bowls club. He said, the best 300 quid I've ever spent. I've got 5 years advertising in their brochure, in their website, big banner on the side of the bowling club, and I get to present a prize as well. 300 quid for 5 years advertising, and he said it's just perfect. So this simple old school stuff is really powerful as well. He also does car stickers. Remember car stickers? Wheel hub covers. We all know it's a good idea, and it's stupidly cheap to do, and very, very effective. Bus stop posters. He also sponsored a few Chinese takeaway menus. If you're anything like me, you get loads of leaflets stuffed through your front door every day, yeah? But there are some leaflets which we pin up on the wall. Chinese takeaway menus. Sponsor some of those, get your name on there. Your name, logo, photo in someone's kitchen 24 hours a day for a year. This one, I mean, for goodness sake, I can't get much simpler than the Post-it note. When you've seen something in a newspaper, tear it out, stick a Post-it note on, send it to them. I saw this and I thought of you. Keep that name awareness thing going as best you possibly can. Even better, go to Vistaprint or somewhere like that and have your photo put on the Post-it note as well. Simple stuff that basically costs nothing to do. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, do you remember there was a bit of a toilet roll shortage as well? Our local bakery, Celebration Cakes, went round all the shops in Cranley with a toilet roll in a bag and hung it on all the door handles around there with a discount voucher. Come and get a cake. I mean, simple stuff, but really, really powerful. You know, I'm the first to say I love a bit of digital marketing. I'll show you something pretty high tech later, but this stuff I love even more. And I love it even more because it works. Video messaging. Now, you know, every marketing consultant under the sun says, oh yeah, you should have a YouTube channel, you should be doing videos, you should be doing this. I say, yeah, great, that's fine. Put that in the educational assets box. But how many of you here send video email to people? Anybody at all? So guarantees your message gets open. Maybe after, if you know a client's coming in or a new prospect is coming in, send them an email, but record a quick little video in it and say, hey, really looking forward to seeing you. Whatever, something human. So they've got a face to put a name to. Or after your first meeting with a client, send some detailed stuff if you want in writing, but also accompany it with a video email as well. You can now send video messages to people on LinkedIn as well. So as well as being able to type out a message, you can also hold your phone up, just record a quick message. Hi, Mary, thanks for looking at my profile today, really appreciate it. Let me know if I can introduce you to anyone. In the meantime, it'd be great to connect, whatever. Use video as well. This day and age, you know, again, you don't need the full lights, camera, action thing. People don't necessarily want that. They just want you, the person, the individual, so they can get a sense of who you are and what you're about. So the trust building and the relationship building process starts to begin. A couple of tools I use, BombBomb, really, really good. A little bit on the pricey side, but their training and the ideas they give you are just off the charts. Vidyard is almost free, but again, super easy. And this just literally, you download a little bit of software and it embeds into your Outlook or Gmail or whatever it is that you're using. Really simple and easy to do. Maybe do a video newsletter instead. So if you send out an email newsletter, yes, still send that one out as well, but why don't you just read some of the stuff or speak some of the content onto a little video and send that out by email as well. And as I mentioned, LinkedIn as well. So video messaging, watch this space. You're going to see so much more of this and you will start getting more and more video messages from people. You can do it as well. I think some things like that takes a little bit of a bravery to get us going. But once you've done one or two, then it's really comfortable to do, really easy to do as well. Personalization. This is going to be, it's already huge. And some really big companies are already using personalization in quite a big way. But we can also be thinking about how we personalize the marketing that we do to people so that everybody gets almost a unique experience. And I want to give you an example, a couple of examples now. So many years ago, I used to work for Zurich Life. I was head of national accounts, and that meant I had some of my hand on the budget for marketing. And we used to get agencies, advertising agencies, contacting us all the time saying, could we do your advertising for you at Zurich? And then one particular day in the post, I received this from one particular agent. And as you can see, it's been done up a bit like a little mirror. Phil, you change your toothbrush when it's worn out, so why not your agency? Personalized marketing. This was done before Photoshop. So this would have been done by hand by somebody, but it's really powerful. It got my attention. This got my attention as well. The same agency sent me this a couple of months later. Did it get my attention? Of course it did. In fact, I even framed it and have it in my office. There we go. Personalized marketing, again, done before Photoshop. So they really put some effort into that, but how hard is that? So a few years ago, I was selling my house down in Cranley, and so I went around all the estate agents, took a day out to do this, to go around, see what they had to say. They all said the same thing. They all looked the same, their offices were the same, the pictures of all the houses were all the same. They all promised me a great service. They all offered me a little discount as if they were only making the discount available to me. And I went home at the end of the day feeling, well, how do I choose? Which one do I choose? My instinct was to going towards one or two because I quite like the people in there. But I still could. So I thought, I'll sleep on this. And the next day in the post, an envelope arrives in the post. And in the envelope is a piece of red carpet. And I thought, okay, maybe when I do eventually move house, there'll be a square. Perhaps I can put that in there. But it was what was on the other side of the red carpet that really got my attention. My name handwritten. Well, all our clients get the same treatment, the red carpet treatment. What a beautiful, simple piece of marketing. And I give you that today as my gift to you. Now that we can all go shopping again, get yourself down to Carpetright, buy up 100 yards of red carpet, cut it up into squares, and do that with every prospect that you get. Cost you nothing to do, basically. Handwrite their name on the back as well. Do you think that will get their attention? Of course it will. Now, some people might think, oh, that's a bit gimmicky, but my goodness, it's powerful and it works. So I want to pull this together with number 6 now. And number 6 encompasses all of these into one beautiful marketing technique. And it is a technique based on a financial advisor I met in 1988, who was the most successful financial advisor I have ever met anywhere in the world. It's just him and his wife. He lived in a place called St George's Hill in Weybridge. And St George's Hill in Weybridge is where all the A-listers live. In 1988, Mick, his name was, lived next door to Cliff Richard in St George's Hill. A couple of doors down, Tom Jones. A couple of doors further, another mortgage advisor. And still A-listers live in St George's Hill today. The properties are just like off the scale huge. So I was a young broker consultant, I think an inspector for a company called National Employers Life at the time. And they are basically now Unum, yeah, who do protection. And this guy was giving me so much business, it was unbelievable. And I said to him one day in his house where his office was, I said to him, just talk me through, how do you do this? How do you get so many clients? How come we're giving you so much commission every single month? And he said to me, he said, well, Phil, I look after the personal finances for local business owners. Really small businesses and one or two quite business owners, quite big. And they're all in southwest London, and they kind of go from the west of London down to Portsmouth and Southampton. And he said, so what I do is I go in and I go and see these people, and I just do their mortgages, and I do their pensions, and I do some savings, and I do their holiday insurance as well. We didn't call them IFAs back then, everyone was a broker back then. And there was no particular allegiance to any company unless they bought you lunch the day before. But he was one of the good guys, very successful. And he said, but what I would always do is I'd say to the business owner, would it be possible, could I do a talk to your team? Would that be possible? Like a half hour, 20 minutes in their tea break, lunch break, something like that, and the business owners would always say yes. So some days he got to do a presentation to 5 people, sometimes to 500 people. And he would do a generic talk on personal finance. And he had a handout. This was his handout. There it is. It's not the original one. And he'd give this to everybody in the audience and said, I hope you can enjoy the presentation today. Before I go, could you just fill in the details, put your name and address on there? Before I go, I'll pick one at random and someone will get a bottle of wine or a book token. And so he'd do his presentation. He'd collect all of these. I mean, it doesn't take the newest financial advisor out of the traps to realize that the very basic information that someone will fill in there is very useful information. So what he'd then do, he'd take him home, and between himself and his wife, they would then send a personalized letter, because there was no email back then, a personalized letter to every single person who'd filled in the postcard. And they would go something along the lines of, Dear Mrs. Jones or Dear Mr. Smith, hope you enjoyed the presentation the other day. Hope you found it useful. Please let me know if you've got any questions. I noticed from the answers to your questions on the postcard that you're on top of your savings. That's really good. That's going to serve you well in the future. But I also noticed from your answers to the questions that you've got a serious problem if you were hit by a bus tonight. Would you like some help with that? Mick told me that 99 times out of 100 they'd say, yes please, when can you come round? And that is how he did it. He collected data and then acted on that data in a very personalized way. Really, really simple approach. That still works today. I mean, you could just copy that and do that today. If you're putting on these seminars or any workshops or webinars for that matter, just do that. Maybe make it a little bit more focused around the later life market and then send a personalized letter to each person who fills in one of those. In your comments, you start with the good stuff. Well done, your answers suggest you're on top of this, that and the other, but I also noticed you've got a problem here. Would you like some help with that? So the combination, they've already met you, already seen you, seen your presentation, got a sense of your expertise, and you've had personalized attention is very, very powerful indeed. So, there is a modern equivalent. It's called a scorecard, it's called a quiz, it's called a personalized assessment, and it's based on the simple principle that everyone loves a quiz. We've all done it, haven't we? On our mobiles or on our laptops or whatever, we find a quick quiz. Could I run a marathon in the next 10 weeks? Answer the questions, and in the next 5 minutes we'll give you a personalized score and answers. Could I be a better lover? We've all done that one, couldn't we? Answer the questions, get your personalized score. Is my business idea ready to pitch to the dragons? Find out the next 5 minutes when you answer these quick questions. Could I lose 10 pounds over the next? We've done them all. Yeah, we all put in a fake email address, don't we? As well, because you don't think you're going to get scammed. It was only up until a couple of years ago that you could actually get software where you could create your own little quizzes like this, that you could either plug into your website or use as a separate one-page lead magnet that I was talking. Only in the last couple of years, right at the beginning of the pandemic. So it works on the principle everyone loves a quiz, everyone loves to benchmark themselves against some sort of standard that somebody else might have set, and everybody loves the idea that you get quick and instant results that are personalized to you. So you can see all the factors that I've been talking about coming through here. And just to give you some examples of these are the sort of home pages that people are starting to put together. Are you ready to accomplish your life's dreams? If you had more time, what would you do with it? Take our free assessment. 5 minutes worth of questions, then they get a results page and a personalized score. The financial advisor who owns this gets all the data. The name, the contact details, all of the answers to all of the questions. So before they've even met the person, they've delivered massive value as well. Here's another one. The lady who owns this one is actually at this conference. Might be in here. Could you unlock an even better retirement? Find out if an equity lease mortgage is the right way to help your finance. Start now, it's free. The results do not give financial advice, they just make observations. It's up to you then to take the data and follow it up in a highly personalised way. And the later life market is just made for this kind of approach. As people are starting to think about their future, getting their financial ducks in a row for the future, this is quick and easy, it's low risk, and the psychological factor that they want to benchmark themselves against everybody else is super powerful as well. Here's another version. How ready are you for retirement and life after work? Just take our quick quiz, find out soon. Real value to the person going through the quiz, real data for the person who owns the quiz. Would anybody like a book on how to use quizzes to do that? Oh, you first up, there you go. Anybody like a book on how to market themselves as a financial advisor? You're right at the back there. Right, I have to right to the back. Pass that one through to you. There you go. This is the high-tech bit, that I was talking about. It sounds difficult to do. It's really, really easy, and it's only been in the last, couple of years that you've been able to do it. To take Mick's original postcard idea of collecting data on a piece of paper to collecting it online in a GDPR compliant way that's really low risk, adds real value to the prospect as well. It works an absolute treat. And there's all sorts of different ways that you can present what it is that you're doing. You ask questions, so later life lending, you might ask questions around their knowledge around later life lending, questions around their personal circumstances, nothing too intrusive or people won't fill it in. And then the possibility of whether or not they might qualify for something like that as well. They get the results, so they get their overall score, they get category scores, they get observations, dynamic observations. So depending on how you answer it, you get different things come up. A call to action and an email as well. Basically, you are giving them value instantly and massive value before you've ever spoken to them or even ever met them as well. This is kind of what a results page looks like. So this person here scored 73% overall, 54 on their knowledge, 100% on their personal circumstances and whether or not they might qualify. It's not definitive, but it's pretty close. But the point is, you as the financial advisor have got the answers to the questions so you can then personalise your follow-ups as well. So you get the source of the lead, how they found you, their contact details, their overall results, their category results, and every answer to every question. Meaning you can personalise your follow-up and you can hook it up with your CRM system as well. So it's a really powerful business asset. And some financial advisors, as well as using it for lead gen, are using it as part of their onboarding tools. Some people are using it as part of annual client reviews. You use it however you want to do it. If you're using LinkedIn, just include this as part of your communications when you message people on LinkedIn. You'll just be stunned. I use one of these. I do LinkedIn consultancy and I use one of these to attract people, and I get hundreds of people going through mine every single month. Hundreds and hundreds, meaning I can pick and choose the ones that I actually want to follow up. So there you go. Educational assets, use your face much more in a variety of different ways. Don't forget the old school stuff that used to work and still works as well. Video messaging, really powerful. Personalize your communications as much as possible and use data as well. Do you want to see a scorecard in action and have a go at one? If you want to either just take a photo of that screen right now or make a note of that or scan that before you go, you can actually go through on which will assess how well you are marketing yourself in your business as well. Just give you a sense of how the whole thing works. So that's me. I'm conscious I'm between you and your lunch. Did you find that useful at all? Fantastic. Thanks very much for your time today. Thank you.